June 5, 1944. The coast of Normandy is quiet. German soldiers sit inside concrete bunkers along the Atlantic Wall, watching the dark waters of the English Channel. Most believe the Allies will not attack tonight. The weather is terrible. Strong winds crash waves against the shoreline, and thick clouds cover the sky. German commanders believe that if the Allies invade France, they will strike near Pas-de-Calais, the shortest route across the Channel. Normandy is considered unlikely, but out in the darkness, something enormous is moving. More than 5,000 Allied ships and 150,000 soldiers are crossing the sea. Within hours, the largest amphibious invasion in history will begin. The operation is called Operation Overlord. For the German soldiers defending Normandy, the nightmare is about to begin. Germany believed the coast of Western Europe was heavily fortified. The massive defensive system known as the Atlantic Wall stretched for thousands of kilometers. It had been ordered by Adolf Hitler to prevent an Allied invasion. Concrete bunkers covered the coastline. Heavy artillery batteries pointed toward the sea. Minefields, barbed wire, and steel obstacles filled the beaches. German commanders believed these defenses would make any landing nearly impossible. But one man was not convinced. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, who commanded German defenses in northern France, understood the real danger. Rommel believed the invasion had to be stopped on the beaches. If Allied troops managed to break through the coastal defenses, Germany might never push them back into the sea. So Rommel ordered thousands of additional obstacles placed along the beaches. But Germany had a serious problem. There were not enough experienced troops to defend the entire coastline. Many units were made up of older soldiers or foreign conscripts. In a strange twist of fate, one of Germany's best commanders was not present when the invasion began. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel had traveled back to Germany. He wanted to celebrate his wife's birthday. Rommel believed the bad weather made an invasion unlikely. At the same time, several senior German officers were attending military exercises. And the most powerful man in Germany was asleep. Adolf Hitler had strict control over Germany's armored reserve divisions. Only he could authorize their deployment. But no one dared wake him. Those lost hours would prove critical. The invasion did not begin on the beaches. It began in the sky. Shortly after midnight, thousands of Allied paratroopers descended behind German lines. These soldiers belonged to the 101st Airborne Division and the 82nd Airborne Division. German soldiers suddenly saw parachutes appearing everywhere. In fields, on roads, in villages. Some paratroopers even landed near German headquarters. At first, German officers believed these were small commando raids. But as more and more paratroopers appeared, it became clear something much larger was happening. Roads were blocked. Bridges were captured. Communication lines were cut. And German commanders began to realize this was not a raid. It was the beginning of an invasion. As dawn approached, German observers looked out toward the sea. What they saw was unbelievable. The entire horizon was filled with ships. Thousands of them. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, landing craft. It was the largest invasion fleet ever assembled. Moments later, the bombardment began. Allied warships opened fire on German coastal defenses. Massive shells slammed into bunkers and artillery positions. The ground shook with explosions. German soldiers realized they were facing something far greater than they had imagined. One German officer later wrote, "The sea was completely covered with ships. It looked as if the ocean itself had turned into a fleet." When the first landing craft approached the beaches, the battle truly began. One of the most brutal fighting zones was Omaha Beach. German machine guns opened devastating fire. From their elevated bunkers, German defenders had a clear view of the shoreline. The powerful MG-42 machine guns tore through the first waves of American soldiers. Many landing craft were destroyed before they even reached the sand. The beach quickly became chaos. Explosions, smoke, hundreds of soldiers pinned down by gunfire. Some German defenders believed the invasion might fail. But the Allies kept coming. Wave after wave of soldiers continued landing. And slowly, the balance began to shift. Even as the fighting raged, German high command remained uncertain. Was this the main invasion? Or just a diversion? Many German generals believed the real attack would come near Pas-de-Calais. That belief was the result of an elaborate Allied deception plan called Operation Fortitude. The Allies created an entire fake army. Inflatable tanks, Fake aircraft. False radio signals. German intelligence became convinced that the largest Allied army was waiting to strike elsewhere. Because of this deception, many German reserve units were not immediately sent to Normandy. That delay gave the Allies precious time. By the afternoon of June 6, the situation was becoming clear. Allied forces had secured several beachheads. More soldiers, tanks, and artillery were landing every hour. German counterattacks were too slow. Allied aircraft controlled the skies, and German reinforcements struggled to reach the battlefield. For many German soldiers, the realization slowly began to sink in. This invasion might succeed, and if it did, it could change the course of the entire war. The landings in Normandy would mark a turning point in the war in Western Europe. Over the following weeks, Allied forces expanded their foothold in France. German defenses slowly collapsed. Soon, France would be liberated, and Germany would face a war on two massive fronts. For the soldiers defending Normandy, June 6, 1944 was the day everything changed. History would remember it as Normandy landings, the day the tide of war turned.